Welcome. Before you begin, take a moment not to prepare your mind for argument or analysis, but to notice where you are, not physically, but inwardly. Are you arriving here with certainty, with questions, with curiosity, or perhaps quiet exhaustion from trying to make sense of things that no longer fit? Wherever you are, you do not need to change it to begin. This book is not something you must solve. It's something you are invited to enter. You may notice quickly that this is not a traditional theological work. It does not ask you to adopt a specific belief, nor does it attempt to persuade you toward a fixed conclusion. Instead, it offers a different kind of language, a theopoetic language, one that moves through metaphor, experience, and reflection, rather than rigid definition. Chapter 4: Noodling, Faith in Darkness. There are ways of knowing that do not begin with sight. In a world shaped by maps, metrics, and measured certainty, we are taught to trust only what can be seen, predicted, and controlled. Yet beneath the surface of this structured reality flows another kind of knowing, one that is felt before it is understood, one that moves through the body before it is named. This is the kind of knowing that pathmakers must recover. It is not the knowledge of the road, but the knowledge of the river. It is not the certainty of the map, but the courage to enter waters where no map can follow. This is where Theopoetics begins to breathe, and it is here that we encounter the Theopoetic analogy of noodling. Noodling, in its most literal sense, is the act of reaching into murky waters, often riverbanks or submerged hollows, searching with bare hands for what cannot be seen. It is a practice that defies conventional logic. There is no visual confirmation, no guarantee of safety, and no clear distinction between what is sought and what may bite back. The one noodling does not stand at a distance analyzing the water. They enter it. They submerge their arm into darkness, guided not by sight, but by intuition, sensation, and an embodied awareness that something is there. In this way, noodling becomes more than a fishing technique. It becomes a theopoetic metaphor for a deeper spiritual connection with the unknown. It is faith stripped of illusion, encounter without certainty, participation without control. For the pathmaker and/or the neo-shaman navigating the fragile edge between worlds, noodling names the moment when one leaves behind the constructed pathways of modern civilization and enters into the unknown currents of divine depth. Modernity offers us predefined routes, systems of belief, institutional structures, inherited doctrines that promise clarity and stability. These are the paved roads of meaning. But the ocean of God is not confined to these roads. It moves beneath them and around them, and often in spite of them. To follow the ocean requires more than agreement. It requires immersion. It requires a willingness to reach into what has not yet been articulated, to trust that the divine is present even when it cannot be clearly seen. Noodling, then, is an act of resistance. It resists a demand for immediate clarity. It resists the reduction of God to fixed definitions. It resists the illusion that truth must always be visible to be real. In a culture that prioritizes control, noodling is an embodied surrender. It is the recognition that the deepest encounters with the divine often occur not through mastery, but through vulnerability. When one reaches into the murky waters, they relinquish the illusion of dominance and instead enter into relationship with the unknown, with the unseen, with the living currents that cannot be fully grasped. This is where fear inevitably emerges. To noodle is to risk. It is to acknowledge that what lies beneath the surface is not entirely safe.